Duck confit is a classic French dish and much simpler than you might think. However, it does take a couple of days from start to finish, so do plan ahead. Let's quickly go through the ingredients first. For duck legs, I use packaged frozen duck legs as that's the only option in the market. A mix of 2 tablespoons of dried thyme and 1 tablespoon of dried rosemary and mix thoroughly. 1 medium bowl of garlic slices. 20 grams or a shallow tablespoon of fine sea salt. I use this kind, but feel free to use kosher salt. And plenty of duck fat, which I'll explain later. Making duck confit requires 2 steps, and first is to marinate. This process is crucial as it not only flavors duck legs, but also helps preserve them. The duck legs should be defrosted in the fridge overnight. Rinse them under the tap water and use paper towels to pat them dry. Now take 1 leg, sprinkle salt evenly on both sides, put some garlic slices at the bottom of the bowl, then sprinkle the dry spices on the skin side, and then lay the leg skin side down on top of the garlic slices. Do the same to another leg. Then sprinkle the legs with the dry herb mix, followed by garlic slices. Repeat the same process with the remaining legs. So if your bowl is big enough, just lay the legs flat, but if not, just stack them up like was shown in the video. Lastly, cover the layered legs with a plastic wrap, cover the bowl, then put the legs in the refrigerator for 24 hours, maximum 48 hours. This is after 24 hours. Discard the plastic wrap, bring the legs under the tap water to get rid of the excess salt and other seasonings. Then use paper towels to pat the legs as dry as possible. Lay each leg next to each other in a 13x9 container. Stack them if your container is smaller. Now the fat. The tradition is to use pure duck fat, but it's not a fat that's accessible to every kitchen. So feel free to use a neutral oil or use a combination. I'd always start with canola oil. Quite a bit of duck fat would be rendered out during the baking, and because I've made duck confit so many times, the concentration of duck fat has become higher and higher, and that's why it's become solid after freezing. To kick off the baking, warm it in the microwave on medium-low to a minimum temperature of 93 degrees Celsius or 207 degrees Fahrenheit. Pour the melted fat into the container to immerse the legs completely. The fat should be at least half an inch or 1.5 centimeters higher than the legs. After that, cover the tray with foil and slow bake in the oven, preheated at 130 degrees Celsius or 266 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 to 3.5 hours. Be careful when taking the tray out of the oven as the oil is boiling and piping hot. The duck legs should be easily pulled apart but not fall apart on its own. You still need the legs to keep its shape and stand alone in the dish. If the meat can be pulled off but is slightly chunky and feels somewhat resistant to the fork, put a tray back into the oven to bake a little longer. So how to eat it? This is a common way of consuming. In a pan, shallow fry the duck leg on both sides in the same fat that just poached it, till the skin is golden brown. If you want a better color and a crispier skin, just deep fry it. Duck confit can go with various side dishes, but a classic one is pommes de terre sarlidases, or sarlidases potatoes, which is sliced potatoes roasted in duck fat. But I usually pair it with a light version of mashed potato that's incorporated with duck fat. The duck leg should be easy to cut. Depending on your preference, the bite could range from tender to slightly chewy. If the bite is a bit too hard to your liking, just bake your next batch a little longer. Speaking of shredded duck leg, it's versatile. Just throw it in noodles, fried rice, wraps, sandwiches, and so on and so forth. Its gamey flavor will enhance these dishes. This is how to preserve the remaining legs. When cooled a bit, use a tall enough container in which to transfer the legs. Then cover them with the same fat that just poached them, preferably 2 centimeters or about 1 inch above the legs. There is stock collected at the bottom during poaching, so I'm spooning the fat out instead of pouring it to have a clean separation of the stock. Then pour the whole thing into a different container. See the separation? The bottom layer is the concentrated stock, which will coagulate and jiggle like jelly when refrigerated. Regarding how to store the legs, put them in a refrigerator for a couple of months or store them in a freezer for at least 1 year. So you see, making duck confit isn't complicated, is it? I hope you like this episode and make some over a weekend or holiday. Enjoy!